back with another question. Um, I'll kind of paraphrase it. So, on on another recent video I made, um, Momo from Hungary said that since they started connecting more to presence, was the term they used, which I think is a good term, and less to their thoughts, um, they're finding that they need more and more time to be by themselves, that it's difficult to connect with other people on a surface level, um, and that they feel like um, they're kind of somewhere in between, uh, in between stages, essentially, like um, connecting a lot to presence, but that maybe this is just kind of a guess on my part about what they mean by in between stages, but um, very connected to presence, but that presence doesn't necessarily extend to the entirety of their experience. And they wanted to know if uh, that's a normal part of the process. Um, if that's something that other people go through. So I won't speak for other people. Other people are more than welcome to share their experience in the comments here if you would like. I think that can be really helpful sometimes because they mentioned they're in a small town in Hungary, and not many people talk about this kind of thing there. So it can feel lonely sometimes. So it as far as the normalcy of what they're experiencing, it's certainly something that I also experienced. Um, kind of at a certain stage in this process, um, it can feel like we. I've alluded to this in some other videos as well. It can feel like we're almost more separate from the world um, as we start to kind of tap into this more fundamental dimension of our experience or our existence. What Momo referred to as presence, this um, un sort of unqualified, undefined, doesn't have any projections onto it really, other than we've just noticed that it's there, right? This kind of um, sometimes we'll talk about it like as bare awareness, um, the sense of being, those kinds of terms. And it'll feel like we're very, very, very much in touch with that. And that is so different from the rest of the experience out here. I hit a stage where um, I felt very identified with presence or the I am sense. Not the I am thought, but the I am sense. It's the sense of being. And at that point in time, it was like, even though I knew that contained all the rest of experience, it still felt like uh, I wasn't able to connect with the rest of the experience in the same way that I could connect very directly to this sense of being or sense of presence. Um, and so conversations did feel difficult. Connecting with other human beings did feel, um, it did feel artificial almost, because there was this like aspect of experience that I was having that it didn't seem like they understood at all. In terms of the kind of desire for solitude, or the need really for solitude, um, for me that also was a part of this. Um, and I was fortunate in a way, because I at the time that a bunch of this was happening, I was working um, as a singer, and so I would be away from home and in hotel rooms by myself, or in cities where I didn't know anyone. And so I had a lot of time to be by myself if I wanted to be. And at that point, I really did want to be. I remember just sitting for long, long periods of time. Um, like literally just sitting for hours. And it was like there was nothing happening. Um, in the conventional sense of what we think of in terms of, things happening. I remember just sitting and sitting and sitting. Um, and that really uh, was something that just sort of needed to be that way. It just needed to happen. I've been talking a bit about integration, and I think that's because uh, most of what I talk about here is like post shift stuff, right? I'm not trying to snap people out of it. There are lots of other channels that are built to do that, and lots of other teachers who are able to do that. And I think that that's important, but I think from my perspective, much more important is like embodying this. So this was a big part of that, a big part of the embodiment process. It almost felt like soaking in the sense of being. Um, Another thing that happened quite a lot during this period was uh, being out in nature. Because being out in nature, I didn't feel the same sort of isolation or separation that I did from other people. And I think that may have to do with the fact that I wasn't trying to get through the mind filter that I was still working with. Because at that stage of things, the I am sense and all of that, the mind filter has thinned quite a lot. The sort of conceptual interpretations and scaffolding about what this is have thinned out, but there's still a layer there, and it's the layer that's presenting this kind of need for solitude, or feeling of loneliness, or disconnection from others. That's a mind filter that's there, that's still keeping keeping a layer of separation between awareness and its contents, or presence and experience, um, because presence and experience are really enmeshed, right? Everything everything that's here is here. So as far as my experience goes, yes, that was very normal. So this is a little rambly because it's one of the trickier things to talk about in the process. But I hope I've at least communicated and made it clear that um, what Momo's experiencing, in at least in my case and in the case of quite a few people I've spoken to, is pretty standard, uh, pretty normal part of the process. And so just allowing the time and the space. If you have the time and the space, then that's what's needed, and that's an okay place to go. And eventually, uh, it will start to feel much more intimate over time. So I hope that's helpful. Talk to you later.